Welcome to Apartment Luxe, where luxury meets imagination.
This $100 million high-rise apartment does not aim to impress through polish or ornament. It asserts itself through presence. At the top of the tower, the architecture tightens into a sharp, uncompromising crown. Rectilinear forms rise with institutional confidence, defined by white architectural concrete and deep black glass. A single bold red structural band cuts cleanly through the upper levels. Precise, deliberate, unmistakable. From the air, the crown does not shimmer or curve. It stands, a cultural marker embedded into the skyline, carrying the weight and authority of supreme without explanation or apology. Inside, the tone is immediate. The main corridor unfolds like a private gallery, carved from concrete and steel. Floors are cast in polished terrazzo with subtle aggregate, cool and flawless underfoot. The walls are monumental, raw architectural concrete, interrupted by oversized typographic panels integrated directly into the structure. Red linear light slices through ceiling joints and wall seams, guiding movement forward with controlled intensity. Nothing here is decorative. Everything is intentional. This is not a hallway. It is an entry into ideology. Then the apartment opened. The living room arrives as a vast, brutalist volume suspended above the city. Floor-to-ceiling glass stretches across the facade, flooding the space with daylight and framing New York as a distant backdrop. The interior does not soften in response. It holds its ground. Oversized modular seating occupies the center of the room, low, heavy, and architectural. Upholstery is matte and restrained, designed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Furniture pieces feel monolithic, almost immovable, spaced with museum-level intention. A massive concrete plinth anchors the space, functioning as both table and sculpture, its edges cut with surgical precision. The room feels less like a living space and more like a cultural chamber, built to host artists, collectors, and power without concession. Conversation here does not wander, it lands. Beyond the dining room continues the language with authority. A long communal table stretches through the space, crafted from solid stone and steel, its proportions exaggerated, uncompromising. Seating is minimal, upright, intentional. This is not a place for indulgence. It is a place for alignment. The red appears again, subtle but unmistakable, running as a structural line beneath the table, grounding the space in identity. The kitchen reveals itself as a professional-grade environment disguised as architecture. Stainless steel, concrete, and blackened metal dominate. Appliances are fully integrated, hidden within monolithic cabinetry. Red is used sparingly, on handles, seams, functional edges, never decorative, always purposeful. The space feels industrial, exacting, disciplined. Across these public spaces, the apartment establishes its position clearly. Luxury here is not softness. The transition into the private wing is subtle, but unmistakable. The scale remains monumental, yet the atmosphere tightens. The materials stay honest, concrete, steel, stone, but their application becomes more controlled, more inward-facing. The first master suite opens as a study in raw authority. Exposed architectural concrete wraps the space in uninterrupted planes, softened only by precise detailing. The bed is low and oversized, integrated directly into a raised platform that feels structural rather than furnished. Matte black steel frames define the edges of the room, while daylight cuts cleanly through floor-to-ceiling glass, washing the surfaces with clarity. Red appears sparingly, embedded into recessed seams beneath the platform, a quiet signal rather than a statement. This is not a retreat, it is command at rest. The adjoining bathroom extends the same logic. Polished concrete floors stretch wall to wall, cool and flawless. A monolithic stone soaking tub sits centered like a sculptural artifact, surrounded by blackened steel fixtures and museum-grade lighting. Red emerges again as a thin architectural line traced through the floor and vanity edges. Precise, intentional, restrained. The space feels ritualistic, deliberate, uncompromising. The second master suite shifts tone without losing authority. Here, black dominates. Steel-framed walls, dark stone flooring, and deep matte surfaces absorb light, creating a heavier, more introspective mood. The bed floats within the space, framed by industrial detailing and sharp geometry. Furniture is minimal, oversized, and immovable in presence. This room feels built for someone who understands silence as power. Its bathroom mirrors that restraint. Dark stone, concrete, and steel form a layered composition. A long sculptural vanity stretches across the wall, its surface uninterrupted, its fixtures precise. Light is directional, revealing texture rather than shine. Red is present only in reflection, appearing briefly at seams and joints before disappearing again. The third suite becomes unexpectedly calm. White architectural concrete returns, expansive and bright, giving the room a gallery-like stillness. The bed and furnishings are reduced to their most essential forms, carefully spaced to emphasize volume. Red appears once, bold but controlled, integrated as a single structural plane behind the bed, grounding the space without overwhelming it. This suite feels balanced, deliberate, and resolved. The walk-in closet is where the narrative sharpens. This is not storage, it is an archive. Glass vitrines line the walls, framed in black steel, presenting garments and objects with museum seriousness. Shelving systems are oversized, architectural, and meticulously spaced. Labels are minimal. Lighting is precise. Red frames appear intermittently, anchoring displays with institutional authority. The room feels curated, controlled, and permanent. Less about fashion, more about history. Beyond the private suites, the apartment widens again into spaces of function and influence. The office reads as a headquarters rather than a workspace. A brutalist desk carved from stone anchors the room facing the city. Walls combine concrete and steel, interrupted by typographic elements integrated directly into the architecture. Light enters cleanly, reinforcing clarity and focus. This is where direction is set. Adjacent, the meeting room feels deliberate and disciplined. A long table dominates the center, surrounded by upright seating arranged with precision. Materials remain raw and honest. Red appears as a single structural gesture beneath the table, grounding the room in identity without excess. This is where culture is shaped, not discussed. The gym is stripped of indulgence. Concrete floors, steel frames, and custom equipment define the space. Mirrors amplify repetition and form. Red is present only in functional elements. Grips, joints, alignment markers. Training here feels institutional, not recreational. The bar introduces a darker energy. Low light, blackened steel, stone surfaces polished just enough to reflect presence. A long counter stretches through the space, heavy and grounded. Red appears again, embedded beneath the bar's edge, glowing subtly like a signal after hours. This is not a social space. It is controlled release. The terrace opens the apartment back to the city. Concrete flooring extends outward, uninterrupted. Glass railings frame the skyline without ornament. Red appears once more as a structural band along the perimeter, aligning the outdoor space with the interior's authority. From here, the city feels distant, observed, not engaged. Finally, the private gallery and lounge. This space slows everything down. White concrete walls host large-scale works presented with institutional calm. Seating is minimal, sculptural, placed with intention. The room feels like a museum after closing, quiet, confident, resolved. This is where the apartment explains itself without words. As the residence settles into stillness, one truth becomes unavoidable. This is not a themed apartment. It is not an experiment. It is a cultural statement rendered permanent in architecture. A $100 million New York residence that treats Supreme not as fashion, but as institution. Built from concrete, discipline, and control, designed to last as long as the city itself. If you enjoyed the tour, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, let us know where you're watching from, and subscribe for more stories where luxury meets imagination.